Hi, in this video we're going to be going over some non-traditional legal research, and we're going to be looking at how to find information about companies, and most of what we're going to look at is for public companies, although I am going to show you at least one resource at the Mass Secretary of State's office where you can look up some information for both public and non-public companies. So we're going to start on Bloomberg Law because Bloomberg has some fabulous corporate resources. And there's a couple of different ways to get information about companies. One is to just type the company name into the top go bar. I'm going to use a company I know, Alnylam. And after that, it starts to autofill, and you can quickly find the company that you're looking for. And once you're on this page, you'll see there's lots of different categories of information, including financials, corporate actions that the company has taken, who's in the management. This tab right here are for EDGAR filings, so filings with the SEC. It talks about how the company's structured. There's all kinds of really helpful information here. One thing I did want to point out is this is an easy way to get to those public company filings. We'll take a quick look at those. And one thing I mentioned to you in the initial video was how helpful the 10K can be, the annual report. So let's just take a quick look at Alnylam's last Form 10K, which is the report that they're required to file annually as a public company. And you'll see, in addition to the 10K itself, they have some exhibits which they are filing with it. But for now, we're just going to look at the 10K. So let's just scroll down here. So it tells you, the state of incorporation, the address, where the securities are registered. And then if you look at the table of contents, you can get a sense of the other types of information that are available here. There's information about the business, risk factors of the business, properties that they own, any major legal proceedings they've been involved in, so you can get a sense of what type of information is available on the 10K. You can also get a sense of the length here, quite lengthy. Okay, another way that you can go to get information about companies is to go to the Companies and Markets tab. And under that tab, if you go to the Business Development Center, that's sort of the main page on this tab. So you can monitor clients here, you can look up companies here. There's all different kinds of helpful resources, particularly for people who are doing merger and acquisition work or working with lots of major public companies. This page could be really helpful. And I've already added Alnylam to my company watch list, but you can search for a company here, find the company and add it, so you can kind of keep track of companies that you're interested in. And one thing that's kind of nice is when you click on this, you can get all kinds of different information, just like we were looking at on the front page. But one feature that's available here is this quick report. And I'm going to show you this. And I'll show you that in a minute when the download is open in the download center. So quite a bit of information on this page that I think would be helpful for you. Okay, the final place that I wanted to show you is, so all of these different places you're going to be able to find the company's public filings, but if you're just looking for those SEC EDGAR filings, you can go into Search and Browse, and you can see here EDGAR, it's called EDGAR on Bloomberg Law, and you can specify what kind of form you're interested in, for example the 10K, and then you can put in other search information like the name, and you can quickly pull up the filings that you're interested in for the public companies that you're looking at. And again, here's that most recent Alnylam 10K. Okay, so lots of really helpful information here. Before we leave, let's take a quick look at that report that I downloaded. Okay, and so this is a 24-page report, and you can get an overview of the company, their credit rating, what their historical price has been, what the most recent litigation is, who is the management of the company, all kinds of good information in this report. So I think it's a really handy feature for public companies on Bloomberg Law. So the next search we're going to run is on Lexis. I'm going to show you a couple of the places that you can look at on Lexis for company information. So the main one is this Company and Financials tab here. If you click on this link, you can look up company profiles, analyst reports, M&A actions, as well as those SEC filings. So you saw they were called Edgar filings on Bloomberg, but on Lexis they're called SEC filings. So let's look at the company profile for Alnylam here so you can get a sense of some of the different company profiles that might be available for this public company on Lexis. So we're getting a number of company profiles. They might not all be Alnylam. It might, because I just ran a quick search, I didn't do it by name. We might also be getting other company profiles that are companies that talk about Alnylam in the profile somewhere, so they might say Alnylam's a competitor. We'd still get those. But you can see that we're getting profiles from, if you look at the sources, we're getting them from a number of different sources, MarketLine, Dun & Bradstreet, Hoover's Company Records. So there's a number of different sources here. Some are more in depth than others, and you can pick your favorite public company maybe and try and run a simple search to see the types of information that are available in these company profiles on Lexis. Okay, as I mentioned, there are SEC filings here. I find the search engine on Lexis to be pretty difficult to use for SEC filings. So my preference would be to actually use the free Edgar search if Lexis was my only option. The SEC filings are easier to find on the free search, on Westlaw, and on Bloomberg. So that's my tip for you. Okay, so that was what I wanted to mention that's available on Lexis. Let's quickly look at Westlaw. So on Westlaw, the main place that we're going to look is the Business Law Center. And in the Business Law Center, you'll see that we have Edgar forms, so those are our SEC filings. It's pretty easy right here to search just for 10Ks, so that can be helpful because you don't have to run an advanced search even. I mean, you are basically running an advanced search, but they're offering you the search ahead of time, telling you what you're searching. And there are some other materials here. For example, if you do merger and acquisition work, it tells you about different M&A transactions. There's some administrative material. So all kinds of great information for people who are doing work with the SEC or with a public company or merger and acquisition work. Okay, so very quickly we can look at the 10K for Alnylam. And you'll see it's the same document, but they have a very kind of nice structure on Westlaw. And you'll see they're just each year, pick the newest one. So you'll see when we're on Westlaw, it looks a little bit different. It's the same document that we got on Bloomberg, but they kind of break the table of contents out to the side, which I think is useful. And you can also just click into the exhibits that I mentioned that are filed along with the 10K here. So it could be, the format's just kind of nice on Westlaw. Okay, one other resource I wanted to mention briefly is this Company Investigator, because you might have access to this where you work. For our academic subscription, a lot of the resources that are available here we're not going to have very good access to. But there are some other reports that are available to us. One is this Hoover company profile, which was mentioned in the reading. And I'll just show you very quickly, and you can compare it to the more fulsome report that we were able to run on Bloomberg Law, that this is a fairly short report that we're getting in the Hoover company profiles. Okay, so you can see they're telling you what the source information is, a little bit of basic information about the company, some key numbers, who the officers are, a little bit of an overview of the company. But it's a little bit shorter than what we were looking at on Bloomberg Law, but still, fairly helpful. It tells you who the key competitors are, what the industry is, some really basic information. Okay, so those were the resources I wanted to mention to you on Westlaw. Let's look at the free sources now. We're going to start on the sec.gov Edgar site. And I'm on the main Filings and Form page, and I just want to point out a few things to you here. There's a quick tutorial which will give you some information about how to use this page. We're not going to go into as much detail for this class, but if you are working with public company filings a lot, I suggest you look at this tutorial. I will also want to show you this forms list. So if you are working again with public companies and you're not sure which of the forms are, or when you're pulling up forms you're not sure what they are, this is a really helpful list with short descriptions. So I wanted to show you these two links right here. Okay, let's take a quick look for the Alnylam 10K, and you can take a look at the most recent one as we've done on some of the other databases. So we'll search by company name. And there are more options here, but since I know the name, I'm going to use that option. If we had the ticker symbol, which you often have if you're working with a company, you could use that as well. And I know it's this one, the Alnylam Pharmaceuticals, that I'm interested in. And you can see we can also limit here by filing type, and we can search within, but the 10K was fairly recent, so it comes up right to the top. And there is some interactive data that's available, as well as the underlying documents. So here's the Form 10K, as well as the exhibits. And you can see that it's great for a free search. It's not quite as fancy as on Westlaw, but totally easy search engine. You do get the table of contents that are hyperlinked, so you can go to any section fairly quickly. So for a free resource, I think it's really pretty high quality. So those were the resources on the SEC Gov site. Now let's take a look at the Secretary of State's office. So I'm at the Secretary of State's office under search, so under corporations, and search the corporate database. So these are the different materials that we can search for, and I'm just going to do the main one, search the corporate database. And I'm going to put the company name in, which we know is Alnylam. And it's this one, Alnylam Pharmaceuticals. You might need to scroll through all of these if you weren't sure, but I know because I've already looked that it's this. And you can see that we get all the basic information of the company, including where their principal offices are in Massachusetts, who the agent is, who the registered agent is. And you'll see that this is a foreign corporation certificate. So even though Alnylam is a company that's based here in Massachusetts, it's a company that's registered to do business in Delaware, which is very common, right? So key points of information, I think, on this form are the registered agent. Okay, so that was the Secretary of State's website. The final thing I wanted to remind you about is that you can always look at the company's webpage. There's a lot of good information here about the company Alnylam, but the tab of information that's going to have most similar to what we were looking at, the SEC filings, some of the overview of the company, you're going to want to look for something on public company pages that say investors. So this is information that would be important to investors, including the SEC filings, information about the stock, an overview of the company, those types of information that we can find here on the company's own webpage. Okay, so that's our quick overview of doing some research. It's sort of not traditional legal research, but something that especially corporate associates are asked to look for pretty much on a weekly basis. All right, and that's it for this week for the videos.